because he no longer has the Fate Hand.
Mm.
So
Right.
we go to the Arbor Wilds.
Which was fun, watching everybody fight. Well, Liliana and Cullen fighting was fun.
Yeah, and based on who you had forces-wise, there's different ways that kind of went down and who's there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
but what was interesting is you go to the Temple of Mythal,
Right.
and a lot of
Tell
it
me
goes
you
on there.
had Solus with you there, because he had a lot to say.
I definitely had Solus
Yeah,
there. It
yeah.
was I stuck mostly to the party I call the triple tallywhackers, only because
Okay.
the fuck all they ever do is make dick jokes,
Oh,
which is Dorian, Iron Bull, and Varric.
damn.
They always make either sex or dick jokes, so that's why they're called that. But in this case, I took Dorian, Varric, and Solus because I really wanted to know what he had to say because this is definitely like a big deal.
Huh. I
And
Yeah,
like,
I for
yeah.
some reason didn't pick Solas with in that mission. I don't know why, but
I can
I
tell
didn't
you it's important to bring Dorian too, though.
I didn't
Yeah?
bring Dorian.
I don't think I
I
brought.
brought Cassandra.
What does Dorian say in the temple? I'm trying to remember. I think I had him. So I
Well,
did a double mage party. Have you tried that, by the
no,
way?
double mage party. I probably would have to say is the way to go.
Oh, hell
It's
yes. Oh, so good. So I would have Blackwall, me, and then two mages, usually Dorian and Solus. Although I will say that Cole with anybody, that's what I did with my mage playthrough, is super interesting. He is like the
oh
best
he
character in the
he
game.
Yeah, yeah.
provides so much lore too, as far
Oh,
as the
especially
character
my
backstories
favorite.
and
Who's
those.
your favorite with Cole? Who's your
Uh,
favorite?
I'd have to say Varric.
Interesting. Okay.
Only because of the fact I love how
Yeah, they become
They're
friends. That's
cute,
like
right?
yeah.
how protective Varric is of Cole, and he's like the one person that believed in Cole more than anybody else.
Can I just tell you who to me the best person is? Fucking Dorian. Dorian and Cole will break your heart
Oh,
because Cole gets right up into Dorian's business, and Dorian like lets him because he's interested in him and he's trying to be nice and everything. But the stuff that Cole says that Dorian feels, I'm just like, oh my god,
he's the feels machine.
oh my
Yeah.
god. And Dorian has so many feels. Blackwell has a lot of feels too.
Oh, definitely.
Blackwell is not into it. Blackwell
No,
is
well,
not
it's
into it.
because it's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, and he does. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't like. He never liked Cole. Like
Uh,
certain people, Blackwell is surprisingly anti several characters.
Yeah, well,
mhm.
he has secrets, so I mean,
Yeah, but he doesn't
especially
like
Cole would
me.
be.
Alright, I am terrible at speaking, Elvan, so I'm gonna go ahead and rather than butcher the language, just gonna say just what the English translation would be. You end up finding out from Morgan that it's not the Illuvian that's Corypheus is actually after, at least not in whole. It's actually the Well of Sorrows, which
Right.
is just a grand collection of a lot of ancient knowledge. You're actually not sure what it is until you get to that point. But as you're stumbling through, you have the option of doing the rite of petition, which was a pain in my ass because I suck at puzzles, to be honest. To pay your respects to the temple and the old
Worth
religion,
it.
I aced
or you
that
can
part.
just said screw it and
Ah,
just
Rasmus.
go through. Of course, Rasmus did.
I did it.
No, I did it. It was a pain, but I did definitely go through it
It's
because,
easier if you use the tactical menu.
well, that's true because then you kind of survey the whole area and kind of
Yeah, I use
plot
that
out your moves.
for stuff like that. Where I'm like, okay, where's this shit?
Um,
I just went with it and ended up
You're like, it was
stumbling
easy. What do you
correctly.
mean? That was a puzzle.
I was able to I was able to complete it, and of course you are stuck with the decision of whether or not you want to say we want the well. Sorry, we're gonna have to fight you because that's what we need. You can say no. We really just want to stop either Samson or
Calpurnia.
Calpurnia. I was about to say guys are trying. I know it was close to like Calpurnicus and like no, it's Calpurnia.
Yeah.
So either way, you can go ahead and say okay, we're not gonna touch the well, but we need your assistance to get to them. You can choose one of the two. Which did you choose, Rasmus?
How like there's the Calpurnia is the person that's with
You picked
Corypheus.
the temple.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't have to fight that one, so I just like she just left when she learned
Oh, you
about
did the side quest.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So she just like left when she heard what the plans for her were to be a vessel, and so I didn't have to fight that once. So, and then I let what Morgan take going to the
Oh wait,
well.
we were gonna get into that.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh, are you asking if we fight Abelos, the guy
Yes.
from the well? Who
Yes.
fights him? No, we do not fight him.
Okay, because
Not as a Dalish. The Dalish is like, no, you're
oh
cool.
yeah, because so if you decide, I guess we all made the same decision of we want to align with the Elvon, but
Hell yeah.
Mm.
if you
Yeah.
have the if you have Dorian in the party, you end up finding out that it actually was not the Deventer Imperium that was responsible for the fall of the
Solus
Anderfels.
tells you that too.
Oh, okay. Oh, for some reason,
Yeah.
Abelis is the one that mentions that to Dorian. Dorian's like, "Are you fucking serious?" So this entire time, my people thought they were responsible. I was like, "Yeah, the only thing your people were a bunch of vultures." It's like after the fact, you guys picked it
Right,
clean.
right. Solus tells you that. Alice doesn't even say it. Solus says it because he and Morgan get into epic arguments, like bitch fest, to the point where I think one of your options is like, why don't you two just get a room? Like it's that
Which would be
bad.
hilarious to say to them.
Yeah, well, I did because it was fucking funny. And I can't remember exactly what I said. I was just like,
But
why
yeah,
don't you just be
bringing
alone or
Dorian there
something?
was important because
Yeah.
the revelation him was also very important because remember Dorian's like huge about he hates what Teventer has become, but he still has much love for his country. So to
Yeah.
hear that was like relief because he's like, finally I can use this to go ahead and knock their ass down a few pegs because they're thinking, oh, we're so powerful, we practically decimated the the Elvon of the old, and it's like, no, no, you didn't. They fought themselves, and it
Well,
happened.
if you're an elf, and this maybe isn't the right time to tell you this, but if you're an elf romancing Solus, you learn all kinds of stuff about the ancient elves that
Oh
you
no,
wouldn't any other way.
no, I'm sure.
Like
So
about the Valisline.
oh yeah, no, I do
Do you know
know
about
about
that?
that. I do know about that. Which I was like, oh well,
It's
shit.
really different when he's the one doing it. It's like, and then you can let him take the Valisine away.
Only if you romance him though.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, I don't even think he really talks about it at all.
No.
No.
So yeah, the choice of the well.
Yeah.
If you have arcane knowledge, or if you are a mage, you know that it's a I hate the pronunciation. It's like either a guise or something similar to that.
Gaze.
A gaze. Yes. It's
G-E-A-S.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's basically you're compelled to follow the will of something. So of course Morgan's like, oh, the gods are dead or don't even exist, so why even
Fuck
bother?
'em. Yeah. No problem.
And you have the choice of either doing it yourself or letting her do it. And my character's like, I ain't touching that shit.
Right. Mine was too. I was like, no.
Which is interesting. I would actually think that somebody who makes a Dalish character would be glad to do it because they would see that as an
Freedom.
honor. Yeah, I know, but I guess they would.
Freedom.
That's true.
Real
If you're
freedom.
full freedom, then I can understand
Freedom.
why you did it.
That was number one.
For
Always
most Dalish, though, I would
option of
think that
freedom.
they would do it because they would see it as an honor.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
serve
But my
the
Dalish
gods.
was like, I'm not doing that. I don't know what that is.
That's
I made her also a little bit scared of magic, like a little bit nervous about magic.
Well, yeah, because the Dalish were to a certain extent, which is why you couldn't have more than one
Right.
mage.
So yeah, I went with that. But yeah, I let Morgan like go right ahead.
that's hilarious because that point I asked all of my party members what I should do, and I think I had a full female party.
Nice.
So I had
Really
Sarah, Vivian,
Sarah.
and and Cassandra. And Cassandra says, let Morrigan go into it. And when I chose Morrigan to go into it, she disapproved.
What the fuck? Okay, that's funny because when I was like, I don't know about this, and Solus is like, well, I don't want Morgan to do it, and then I let her do it anyway, and he approved.
Well, yeah, that's what I
not
thought
what
was
they
funny
want.
because he
It's like-
tells you that he doesn't want you to do it no matter what.
Oh,
Like,
he
he's
told
like-
me I don't trust Morgan to do it.
Well,
And
he
then
told
I
me
sound
both.
well,
He's
tough
like
rocks.
I don't trust Morgan. He's like, but I don't want you to do it because you don't know what you're getting into. So I'm like
Interesting.
everybody basically voted me don't do it. Like
Right.
Yeah.
because I asked at first I asked all of them to do it and they're all like no.
Yeah.
Especially
Solus is like, oh, if you ask Solus because he was not
Yeah,
amused.
no,
by that.
he's like no, and don't even bother trying to
Yeah,
ask me
don't ever
again.
Ask me that again. I was like, oh shit, sorry, Dad.
So then yeah, but and then everybody was like no, and then when I asked should I take it, everybody's like no.
Well, somebody's got to.
So I'm like fine, Morgan, take it.
Yeah. Right. I think that was fine.
Which leads.
I think
Oh.
Vivian suggested that I should do
Oh,
it.
Vivian's
I'll-
all over you doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which from there, depending on your decision, you kind of continue on, which leads to a fun little trip back into the Fade. I think we
Yeah.
lost picture again.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right, do you want me to kick you from the call and bring you back in, or you want to try?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
All right.
Do, do, do,
All right, you should be back in.
do, 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 do. Okay.
Man, we are definitely running later than I thought. I'm sorry, Rasmus. I'm pretty sure.
You should have known how chatty I am.
Well, I think it's all of us because we're all just so enthusiastic
Excited!
about all this.
Yeah.
And my wife is going to kill me with absolute certainty as well. So we take another little trip into the Fade. And I'm not sure how it plays out if you don't have Kieran, because Kieran was the driving force of you going back in the Fade.
Do you even do it? I guess you have to.
Because it was very important, a very important revelation.
You don't have leverage as... If you,
I'm not sure what the reasoning would be if you do not have that kind of situation, but I do know Kieran running in is definitely a driving force for that, and I'm pretty sure you have to go in there only because of the revelation that transpires in there, which is huge. So, you go into the Raw Fade again. Morgan's confused because the Illuvion's not really supposed to be able to go there, but it does. Well, they theorized that it would, but it would require a lot of power that Kieran himself would not possess at that time. Or even Morgan was unsure she could possess to get into there.
Yeah.
And you're helping Morgan search for her son, to which you get to see a familiar face.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted more than anything.
That was good shit.
You get to meet Flemeth again.
She's looking old, by the way. She's not looking so good.
Yeah, I think they made her look too young in 2. I think that's why I liked her model in 3 a bit more.
Well, I was wondering if something has happened in between 2 and 3, because they're clearly not aging people up, as you saw with Alistair. They're keeping them nice and youthful. So I'm wondering if what happened is something has happened to her, because based on what you see in the stinger at the very, very, very end. She was somehow losing stuff, because she has to get another body and all this shit. So maybe that's what's going on.
So and that's exactly what Morgan fears. Morgan fears that she's going to try and take Kieran instead, which one way or another, based on options, as she's telling you things, if you try to get Kieran back, Morgan will either try and use her magic. Well, either way, she tries to use her magic to fight against Flemeth. And if you were the one that drank the well, you restrain Morgan. If Morgan was the one that drank the well, she loses her ability to cast magic, which means that Flemeth is Mythal.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Aspect. I don't think she is actually Mythal. The way she describes it,
or she's
a piece of Mythal is inside her.
Well, she joined.
Yeah, so the way she explains
you can tell the story of if you're Dalish, I think at least you start off mentioning the story of how she ended up.
Well, you can if you took the nobility. Or not nobility, but the history perk as well for conversation. You could bring up her story of how that went down. But yeah, maybe not necessarily a Mythal, but she's kind of fused as one with Mythal. Very similar to what happened with Anders and Justice, or at least the way she describes it.
Something like that. I don't think we're quite sure 100% what that was. But she let Mythal in for sure.
Yeah. And they kind of became more or less as one. And so now whoever drank from the well is now under the control, or not necessarily control. If she wants to take control, she can, and they feel compelled to listen to Flemeth. And you find out that she's actually after something much different. Once again, we have no idea what her true intentions or her plans are. The only thing we do know is that if Kieran does have an old god soul, she extracts it from Kieran, puts it into herself, and then lets him go. But you do see a genuinely touching moment between not only Morgan and her son, after even saying that she would willingly sacrifice her own body to allow her son to go on, but also just the look of disappointment and hurt that you see on Flemeth's face when she's talking to Morgan. Morgan's like, "You're a terrible mother. I hate you."
Yeah.
And you just see this she's genuinely hurt by the things that Morgan says. You can definitely feel that. She's like, you always misunderstood me. You always thought that I was going to do these horrible things to you, but without her saying these words, she's basically like, I care more than you realize.
Yeah, but to be fair, the shit that Morgan says about her being a shitty mom, that shit's dead on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She was not a good mother.
No, she definitely was not. But that's why it was nice to see that Flemeth did care, though. That Flemeth was not...
She's just not very good at it, And I thought it was interesting that, like, she's like, I never would have done it against your will, just so you know. So Morgan's like, so Morgan comes out of there going, okay, I don't know shit. I thought I understood everything, but I don't know shit.
I love that she says that too. She's like, well, maybe I don't know everything. And
Yeah.
She's like, well, no
maybe
shit.
not. No. Have
What
you
was
been
funny-
right about anything?
Well, what's funny is my character actually like greeted Flemeth Mythal because again my Inquisitor at least was somebody who was deeply interested in learning more of the world. They wanted to be more worldly, especially when it came to religion. So to see somebody who's supposed to be a god, he was just like, oh wow, hey, it's very nice to meet you.
Like, awesome. It's like, okay. Yeah.
To which brings us to the final conflict, which there really wasn't much of a decision in that, unless I'm missing something that you guys would like to point out story-wise. Because there's a lot, but I wanted to touch on the key points.
What?
Of the story. Is
What's
there anything else that I might have missed?
Oh no, I think those are all the big decisions.
Okay, besides the characters, which we'll touch on. But yeah, then it comes down to the final conflict when you're fighting against Corypheus, to which was the boss fight was way too easy. I think we can all.
I was way over leveled. I was like level 21.
Yeah, me too.
The dragon was slightly challenging. Like, okay, it's a dragon. It was a big dragon. Okay, but fighting Corypheus, I just wiped the floor with him.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as a sword and board warrior, I think I think everybody who does sword and board warrior can say this, but dragon fights are actually not that difficult. They can be lengthy because you don't have the same kind of DPS output as everybody else. But the funny thing is, you could always stay close to their knee. So almost anything they do, as far as breath attacks, the pulling wing attack, and everything else, like doesn't even touch you.
Yeah, I can see that.
So all the dragon fights for me, at least for like just my character, maybe not the rest of the party, unless they were doing the same thing, were not as difficult. Very time consuming, regardless.
Right. I don't mean difficult in like, am I gonna make it? I don't know. But I think more like time consuming.
The Corypheus fight though, fighting Corypheus it felt very underwhelming. The only thing that felt really nice was Corypheus reopens the breach after you closed it near the beginning of the game.
That was a dick move.
Just reopens it because he's like, you know what, fuck it. I've failed so many times. I'm either gonna succeed this time around or I'm gonna take everything down with me. Right. And then after kicking his ass, he's just, which is still hilarious, and I guess it's okay and it's understandable because Corypheus, in a sense, still is flawed like a normal human.
Yeah, he's very flawed.
So after all this talk of I'm going to be a new god, screw all the other gods that may or may not exist, the very end, after you kicked his ass, he's shaking the orb and he's like,
come on!
He's like, any god that's listening, I don't care what god they are, Dumont, the creators, anybody, please, if you truly exist, help me now. And then you're just like, force pull, you bitch slap him with the orb, you break his jaw. Like completely over to the side.
That was gonna happen though. That thing was not on.
And then you had it, and you're just like, oh, close the rift. Oh, hey, you want to go in the fade? Good.
Yeah, that was, you just absolutely owned him at the end. Yes, that was satisfying. Like
that was the boss fight itself was meh, but how you resolved that was just so badass.
You're just a badass. I mean, you kind of get to be a badass off and on like the entire game. To be fair.
Yeah.
Which I liked because it's like just closing the rifts a lot of the time, and just like that move you do, you're like, I'm like, okay, that looks cool. I still like that.
Well, that's the focus ability I constantly used was the fade tear, and just like messing everybody up with that.
That one's good. That's good, especially for dragons. That's good shit.
Oh yeah.
Slow
them down.
My favorite tactic as a rogue, what I would do is I would open the fade, the fade rift. We get there, I'd go to stealth right away. Everybody else takes the aggro. I immediately, disrupt the rifts, and everybody gets stunned. And then I hit stealth again for the second round. So I was always
it's
like
stab.
People must have thought I was an asshole because I was always running past all the enemies. Like, no, wait, hang on, that's help.
There's a method to my madness. Trust me.
I swear. So yeah, that was fun. That's my little rogue strategy.
And then, of course, post-credit. Actually,
yeah, the romance with Solus will break your fucking heart.
Yeah, well, you can go ahead and say how that kind of gets resolved.
Oh, yeah, like everybody else, and I've done the Cullen one too, so I know what's supposed to happen. But like the penultimate, like we're about to go into the final battle, and you have some kind of scene with your person, and usually it's like a sex scene or something super sweet and cute. He fucking dumps your ass, just bam. First he tells you, oh, by the way, your Valisline, those are slave marks, just so you know. And you're like, ah! And he's like, I can take them away if you want, and you can say yes or no, it doesn't matter. But I was like, yeah, take them off. And he's like, oh, you're so beautiful. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta bounce, baby. And you're like, wait, what? I'm like, there's nothing you can do. You cannot convince him to stay. It's a matter of how pathetic you want to sound begging him.
He's like, you know what? My mama told me one rule: hit it and then quit it. He's like, peace.
No, that's Blackwall. Blackwall hit it and quit it. But no, he's just like, oh, sorry, I gotta go. And you're like, but, or you could be a bitch about it and be like, you asshole. Like that's literally one of the little tickers that it says, like you used me, asshole, or your loss, asshole. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Damn, that's some cold shit.
There's some funny comics that follow that too. That people have drawn involving that. So many people were pissed.
Oh yeah, because you're just like, but I was gonna have my big romance scene, and there's nothing you can do. You can go talk to him afterwards. He's like, look, I'm sorry, I just can't do this. And you're like, you know, again, it's how pathetic do you want to be, and you can't romance anyone else.
Nope, because
you're locked in. If he breaks up with you, you're locked. Up to that point, you can break up with him, and then go like hit it with Iron Bowl or whatever. But no. You are locked into heartbroken, and you can also what I did is I had Cole with me because I love those two together, and like Cole was like, why'd you do that? He actually like questions Solus as to why he broke up with you because he relates the conversation that you had. Like,
it's like you feel
and
this pain.
And then Solus fucking takes the memory away from him.
Yep.
He's like, where did it go? Yeah, and he's like, I'm sorry, Cole, you can't fix that. It's like, oh shit, Solus. Like you get these little hints that he is much deeper and more of a badass than he lets on. Than a level 1 mage that you met.
To which comes to the point of the post-credit scene, to where you see Flemeth, who's Mythal. She's touching Luvion. You see it glowing, and they're in. I don't remember the name of that realm that they're in, but it's where all the Luvions are at. It's kind of like it's kind of the gateway. We'll just go ahead and call it, and that's where Solus reveals that he is in fact Phanerol, the Dreadwolf. Which was just everybody's like, what?
I know, right? I mean, you get little hints, you know, that there's more to him than you think.
I knew he was not everything that he seemed, but I did not expect him to be the Dreadwolf.
No, that was a bit much. Like, oh, you're the Dreadwolf. Oh shit, my character was banging the Dreadwolf. Oh God, what does that mean? You don't want to have sex with gods. I mean, that's just...
And it was revealed that coming out of his slumber, he wasn't powerful enough to use his own orb, which is like an elven artifact of great power, for his purposes. So he kind of I don't know how, because he never explains what it is. Whether he just flat out gives it to Corypheus, or Corypheus stumbles upon it, which he kind of allowed it to happen.
I think he gave it to him and said, hey, open this up for me, and Corypheus, like, dead.
Okay, I'm gonna charge this up.
Sure, fuck you, and then he like took it. That's just the impression I got because he was following him. You know what I mean? Like I feel I'd like to think he
and
knew better
he
than
also
to give it.
Kind of if you read the books, there's a person who says he's Dalish, and he gets ganked at the end by some person in he goes into the, I think it's goes into Fade or meditates or whatever, and he's like talking to whoever is like boss or whatever you could call it, and he gets killed there for doing what he helps the elves and stuff free in Haram, what it's called.
Those words are so freaking hard to say.
Yeah.
That's why I don't bother with them. I am a huge Dragon Age fan. I'm deep into the lore and all that good stuff, but I suck with pronunciations. Not even gonna bother.
So for me, when he revealed that he was Fenharel, I was like, I mean, that must have been the person in the books.
It was referenced in there.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Maybe.
So I'm not sure that it was, but I mean, that's why I wasn't that surprised, because I like how Solus was, and also it made sense from it probably, so he may be one of the people that helped Brielle, the person helped Brielle.
Yeah.
Okay.
With everything like
that.
that.
He was not positive on Brielle when you're at the Winter Palace. Just call it the Winter Palace. Don't say hello, I'm sure.
Oh wait, we lost your video.
He was not super into. You know what to do. He was not super into her at all. Like, he even says she's not his people.
All right, I'm gonna kill the call
Yes,
on your
kill
end,
me.
and then whoa, I'm not gonna kill you. Killing you is a
You
little
killed me.
a
I'm
little
back. You
extreme,
can't kill me forever. I'm like Flemeth. Here I am.
which is funny enough. So you have Mythal and Dreadwolf. We'll go ahead and just refer to him at that way from this point on. Are having a discussion. He's like, "Hey, look, I know I screwed up, but don't like there's still more I need to do. I need to do this
Yeah.
for my people." And then he apologizes, and then it comes to a scene
She
to where
apologizes too.
oh, yeah, they apologize
They
to one
both
another because they're you can definitely tell they're friends.
They're
There's no
affectionate.
there's no bad blood between the two of them.
Right. Which is interesting from what you know about Fenrir and Mythal, but if you bring
Yeah.
Solus along to all these places, he's like, yeah, they got the myths all wrong and all this shit. Everything's wrong.
Everything's
that's all
wrong.
That's all. Solus should have like a little macro that just says, everything's wrong. It's all wrong. It's wrong.
So
Wrong. They got it wrong.
then you kind of see like something goes over his face, and he. I'm pretty sure this is the way it is. There's some people that still debate it's the other way around, but Solus basically steals away Flemeth's essence.
Yes, just like she did to Kierman.
Yeah,
Now
and
he's got both.
exactly, and you just see his eyes glow, similar
Yeah.
to like Mythal. So now he has all this power.
There, he definitely seemed in control. I've seen
Yeah.
people say like, "Oh, she went into like, you can't do that unless he allows it."
Exactly,
So,
that was one thing that was mentioned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But I don't think that's the end of Flemeth either,
I
because
feel that-
she's like goddamn Voldemort. She has her Horcruxes. She has like little pieces
Yeah.
of her everywhere.
The
So
necklaces.
They didn't have a contingency plan. That bitch is queen of contingency plans.
exactly. So
She's
it's
got-
more likely
there's
not
some
going to.
idiot with an amulet somewhere.
This looks really nice. All of a sudden,
Take this to the Dalish. She's like, okay. But trust me, yeah, it'll be fine. No, I mean, God, I'm hoping so bad, and I know this is selfish of me, it's for a DLC where you get Solus back, so my poor little Dalish
everybody
can, like,
wants that.
live again, because she's not
Um,
happy.
So we are definitely running over. I guess we'll go a quick run through the characters. I think
Okay.
they're probably. It is really hard for me to say because I really like Dragon Age Origins. I would probably say that the Dragon Age Inquisition party is probably by far the. I shouldn't say by far. At least more, in my opinion, interesting, and there's more depth to them than any of the other parties so far. If even only just a little bit compared to Dragon Age Origins.
I definitely prefer them to 2 in that they don't all hate each other. Because 2, all they do is say horrible, vicious things to each other for the most part. Unless you're Varric and everybody
Which
likes
can
it.
kind of be
Yeah.
realistic. I mean, if you
Can't
have
be, but it's like, I don't want to hear, like, Fenris taking down Meryl again, you know?
and on top of that, even with the Inquisition, they all may have different opinions of one another, but they respect one another enough to get the job done.
And
But
even
each-
if they don't like each other, like, there's different variations of dislike. Like, Sarah and Vivian do not like each other, but it's still funny. Like, the shit they talk about, because Sarah keeps trying to pull pranks on Vivian, and Vivian keeps bringing it back around.
Yeah,
It's,
so
it's
there's
funny
the
when
dynamic
if
between
you
all the
have Iron
characters.
Bull and Vivian in the party.
Oh my god, that is so funny! Not what I expected. Like, you'd think you'll know how they'll get along, and sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm
Yeah.
right. But yeah, but
That
like,
is
everyone
definitely
seems to like Varric pretty well.
Oh, absolutely. I will say that he probably didn't have as much impact, or he wasn't as much, I would say, himself as he
I
was
think
in
Varric
2.
was way better in Inquisition than Dragon Age 2.
Well, as I was going to say, except for when you had the kind of like the cutscenes, which like I
Yeah.
think were only 2 or 3 that he really got. Those are the only times you really saw the Varric we all know and love, or even went further. Like the whole thing with Cassandra, and you find out that she's a huge trashy novel buff.
Oh my God, that was
especially
so
that
Yeah.
she's a huge fangirl of Varric, was just
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that
classic.
was the best.
And
I
just
was
the look on Varric's face, like she's like, "Oh, please, you can't tell." And I didn't mean to be mean spirited. It's something I would do to any friend. I immediately went to Varric and I'm like, "Oh my God, she's such a huge fangirl of you."
Yeah.
I even said I was gonna tell him. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell him. I'm sorry, it's too good.
Well, that's what I did too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I like we're really good friends and all, but no, I have to tell him this is too good.
Yeah, it's too good. But yeah, I feel like everybody had a really good part in the story. Like, you really felt like everyone was kind of important to the story. Some more than others. Obviously, Solus is super important to the story. Like,
Yeah,
he's and
absolutely.
Cassandra too. The
Yeah.
two of them are the ones I feel like who really drive the story. You know, like there's those moments where you're like by yourself and like Cassandra walks up. It's like, yeah, sure, she's really important. Or she comes to the war table or whatever. But yeah, I felt like everybody kind of got their moment in the sun there was, and then the war table helps too because
Right.
you can do the quests.
I'm gonna kill the call for you again, Kat, and let you back in.
Okay.
This thing is just riddled with issues.
I always have issues.
But you know what? At least you're here. That's what counts.
Here.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, a lot of people had a lot of interesting storylines, like with Dorian and having to deal with his father. That was just Dorian is probably
Dorian gave me all the feels.
one of my favorite characters out of all of them.
Great.
And
He's great.
there was a lot of people going back and forth about his character, like, "Oh, you're forcing gay characters down our throat," and it's like, no,
fuck off.
Yeah, it's
everyone, I'm like, everyone loved Dorian.
I'm sorry that gay people exist. It must be hard to be you.
No, everyone, like from what I've heard, everyone has.
Yeah, but that immediately changed after people actually played through it, and they went through Dorian's because it was just so powerful. It's like his passionate anger about the situation, about his father trying to use blood magic to no longer make him like other men, just so he can go ahead and continue on this stupid fucking legacy, which he says that.
I know, this is your fucking legacy. I'm like, whoa! Dorian's bad, you guys.
Some of those situations are just so powerful. Like even Bull, the Bull's Chargers. You learn about.
Why do you not save the Chargers?
Well, if you were very military minded and you were trying to build up your forces, that's the only way it would make sense.
I did mine so late that it was an easy decision because I didn't need more power to my Inquisition, so I was like, well, I'm gonna let them live.
What, after you drank with them? Damn.
So
after we shared drinks and got to know them all, how am I gonna let them
that's why it was
die?
that's why it was too difficult, because you got to know them so well, and then you just see it going down, and you're like, no, this is Bull's family. I am not gonna kill Bull's family, even if it means getting an alliance.
The Kunari is the Kunari,
Fuck the Kunari. I don't want the Kunari. How about that? I don't want him hanging out.
Which unfortunately means that he's Tal of the Shoth. So no matter what, it's a difficult decision for Iron Bull because he's very much about who he is, and he also was somebody who really deeply believed in the Kunari and everything that they held as far as their ideals and everything. So it was unfortunate that he kind of turned against. It's like turning against your people for your family. Most people would turn on their people for the family because it's just that connection. So
and this is like his it's the people he made. He made this group. They're nearer to him. I felt like he'd been away from the Kunari for so long that it made more sense.
He was disconnected.
Yeah.
And this was his family.
P.S. The Kunari business, again, I hate to bring up my boy again, but if you have him walking around with Solus, he gives him unbelievable shit for being Kunari. And if you have him go Tal of the Shoth, they fully reconcile in a sweet way.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then even with Cole, you have the choice of either making him more of a spirit or making him more human, which was a really
It's not that big a difference, actually.
Not too much. I mean, what it is you have Solus who's make him more spirit, and you have Varric no, he's a kid. He even that's his nickname for Cole is even kid, and he's just make more. And then he finds the person who is kind of in a sense responsible for a lot of what happened to the real Cole, and you have the choice of he's like, all right, fine, if it'll make you feel better, kill him, and
can you kill him? Because when I tried that, it didn't work.
No, you can't, because what happens is if you make him more human, Varric very quickly in sleight of hand takes out the bolt.
Right. Okay.
And
that's
then
what
when
I
he
thought.
goes
I didn't
to
think there was a way to kill him, but maybe
when he goes to he basically goes to and it clicks and it fails, and he's just
okay, don't do that.
It's like, you feel better now, and it's like, no, I don't. It's like, okay, then let's go. I mean, there's a lot of.
It was good. It was good either way. I did it both. I did it twice, so I did it one way one time and the other way the other time. And I liked it both.
And a lot of people for some reason disliked Sarah. If they didn't understand her humor.
Okay.
And
Sarah,
who she was. She's Cockney.
Her around.
Started.
So fucking funny. I laughed out loud more with Sarah than with anybody else. She is hilarious.
She's Cockney. That explains the way that she talks. And yeah, she's definitely crazy, but she's crazy in the most sane way possible too.
I cannot see romancing her. I will be honest.
I tried, but there was I never really got to the point where like we started romancing. It was like, this is boring. I'm gonna
It would be like a
join this.
very rebellious style romance. It's like you're both just acting wild
You
and
have to be kind
crazy.
of
No,
crazy. Yeah.
it feels rather boring, her style,
It
or
would
like
be well. I mean, that's what it is. It feels like it would be a fleeting romance. It doesn't feel
She
like
doesn't
something that
like
would like.
elves for starters. So
yeah.
I've heard if you're a Canary, she's all over you.
Well, that's what's actually hilarious because if you speak to her about Iron Bull, like she can speak to the other party members about the other party members, and you're like, oh, what do you think of Iron Bull? And she first says she's interested in his junk size, even though she's
Yes.
not interested in that way. She's just more of curiosity. She's like, but
Yes.
also they're females. Can you imagine Kunari females? Woof.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
she has a
she,
band with him about it too.
which is hilarious because
Yeah, listen.
she makes that snide comment about Kunari women. But the funny thing is as a Kunari female, how it turns out that way.
Yeah, yeah. But I can't see the run. So I think she's really, really funny. Like just pulling her around and the things she says. Like when you go to the Storm Coast
Yeah.
and you see the giant and the dragon fighting.
She's like, can we
she is
watch?
hilarious. She's like, oh my god, watch! I'm like, okay, you are funny. Because I'm like, oh shit. And she thought it was funny, so I like that about her.
And then,
she does good banter.
oh no, definitely. Like, that's why all the characters definitely provide something to it. Then you also have the
Yeah,
whole
definitely.
situation,
They're all-
like with Blackwall. The Blackwall, I mean, everybody kind of knew it's like you're full of shit. But nobody, very few people probably could have seen what his true story was coming about him
Yeah.
being. He used to be a very important person in the military, the Orlesian military, and because he was kind of corrupted by greed and wanting more power, he's like, all right, well, he ordered his men to go ahead and kill a very important enemy
Children.
for somebody. Oh no, he didn't know it was children at first.
They went
That's
through
actually
with it.
yes, no, but that's
Yes.
that's actually where a lot of his regret and a lot of that pain comes from. Is 'cause he told them the specific orders he gave his men is this person's an enemy of the state. Kill him and anybody who's with him. He thought that it was only going to be that guy and his soldiers, and ended up being his family with him at the time. So the thing is, he was a good leader because he inspired that much loyalty that his own men killed
I don't
that
know if
guy's
that's
children and
good.
family.
Yeah. But like even so, it was even if he'd done it exactly the way he had foreseen it, it was still a dick move and
Oh no,
assassination.
um, there's no way of thinking what he did was right.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I was merely saying was that his intention wasn't to kill children on top of it. He still intended on committing murder or indirectly committing murder, conspiring to commit murder. What he did was
I
definitely
mean,
wrong.
I at some point I'm like, yeah, what the fuck does then Liliana do right now? I mean, at
Right,
some
and you
point
can say that, Liliana. It's like Liliana, come on, man.
It's like, what do you do really? I mean, come on.
Mm.
This
No,
is
but
not.
she even talks about it. She's like, yeah, it wasn't like a priority. And it's like, yeah, he's a Grey Warden. And she has other things she has to do. But I know, whatever. What are you gonna do?
And there is more that I want to discuss, but I guess we should kind of wrap this up for everybody, especially because I'm sure it's really late for you, Rasmus.
Oh, it's
Yes.
almost 5:30.
Yeah, and we've been
Oh,
doing this a lot
shit.
longer than expected.
And I don't have any face anyway.
Yeah, I just
Disembodied.
here. I'm gonna try one more time so we can.
Okay.
All right. Let's see, do we have a winner?
I don't know.
No, it's still spinning. I think it's just done.
Yes.
All right. So
Hold on.
real quick, I guess we'll try and make as quickly as possible a discussion of theories. For starters, I think the one thing I appreciate is the fact they said they never have, and they're not even sure if they ever will reveal whether or not the maker is real or not. I thought that was cool. It's just like real life. People are still debating on whether or not there's some kind of deity or greater power that exists. So I'm glad they kept that in the game as well.
Yeah.
But I do not think that the elven gods are actually gods. I think
I
that
agree with
they
you.
are very powerful magic individuals, mages, but I do not feel that they're actually gods. Because we've already seen many different instances of people with great magical power that can cheat death and do a lot of the things that the elven gods are apparently capable of. And even then, you have the old gods, which are dragons, or at least they prefer the form of dragons. We still don't have all the details on them either, even in the Codex. That they are extremely powerful. They can possess magic, stuff like that. They may not necessarily be gods either, because apparently they can be killed.
I think I'm being invaded.
Invaded.
Little girls.
Oh.
Keep going. It's okay. Keep going.
But yeah, even the old gods can be killed, and it just feels like if there is any kind of greater power, it would be the Maker, if the Maker even exists. But as far as everything else, like the old gods and everything else, that's just what people perceive them as. That's actually not.
Or there are people that the Maker have granted power.
Or even that, but I would, if anything, that would make them like lesser deities. They wouldn't still necessarily would not be gods.
No, they wouldn't be gods, but they would be like
they would be the Maker's chosen
angels to.
Yeah, which you have demons.
Yeah,
exactly. You have the spirits and the demons. So I mean, there's definitely something going on, at least to some degree. But also, I think that the Black City. I always wanted to fight with that, as far as what that might be. But I'm actually starting to think, especially if we're going off the basis of them not being gods and whatnot, especially what we learned about red lyrium, that red lyrium is just, well, lyrium's alive for starters. Yeah. It's organic. And that red lyrium is simply just tainted by
light.
Which is interesting, because that red lyrium idol predated the Darkspawn, and even the thing that happened with the Treventer Imperium. But that's why it comes to my next theory, that the Black City has always been the Black City, that they were trying to probably get to the Golden City, but they went to the wrong place, maybe even because of Dumont, or maybe Dumont didn't know, either way, and the Black City is kind of like a prison, which is where the Darkspawn taint is, or whatever dark force is being imprisoned, which is responsible for the Darkspawn taint. So upon them breaking into the prison, they became tainted by whatever dark force was there. It wasn't the Maker that turned them into that. They kind of, by breaking into that prison, were affected by the dark force that was there, and that's why it happened. Which was why the red lyrium idol predates.
But you also has to see that the gods there are in the old gods are in prisons.
Oh yeah,
but unless they get the Darkspawn reaches them and taint them, they're not gonna force a blight. So they need to not be corrupted. They're not corrupted before the Darkspawn get to them. So how are we?
There's always the idea that there's maybe never was a gold city. Maybe it was always black.
It could have been. I actually think there's probably something more to it. But I think the Black City, no matter what, was actually never meant to be a throne of any deity of any kind. That it was actually always a prison.
Right.
Because again, like I said, the red lyrium idol, we learned through Codex and through a lot of lore, predates the incursion on the city by the Treventer Imperium, which would also kind of lend to that theory, because that means this dark force once was in the realm before it was banished and imprisoned to the Black City, which explains why you had the red lyrium even before the first blight and the first Darkspawn.
But if you think about what the Fade is, and about how it's really just our own thoughts and dreams kind of given form, if you will, it could just be that something like the Black City and the Blight happened because people have done terrible things.
And it very much could be that. It could be all of our dark thoughts contained, and then
and eventually it's like a boiling pot, you know.
But that's what I mean by it being like some kind of dark force. It was something that was...
Yeah, I'm with it. Well, I don't know if we'll ever find out.
Oh,
you want to talk about the next game, right? Like what we think the next game is going to be about?
Oh, did either of you have any other theories real quick?
Well, I know you have a theory.
About the next game, but I mean, anything you guys want to talk about from this game.
Fucking Dalish. Either a DLC, again, we have to deal with Solus.
Yeah.
Please.
There's definitely going to be some revolution.
Especially with
listening to me. You can't let my elf live like this with the heartbreak. You need to bring that fool back, okay?
There needs to
bring
be some kind of resolution.
Some DLC. My pet theory is that Solus is Flemeth was a regular person who had a piece of that god put in him. He isn't the guy from before. He has his memories and thoughts and stuff like that. But I want to take him out, like she took the old god out of Kieran. I want him to just be a regular mage again, like a regular dude.
Take away his
I don't
power
even
and make
care.
it normal.
I don't care. I want him back. No Fenrirel, just the elf.
All right, Rasmus. Anything?
No, not really. I was just thinking about another, like the Empress de Leon area.
Yeah.
What did you guys do with Imshale?
With what?
What do you mean?
Imshale, this the spirit. The spirit.
Oh. I killed his dumbass?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the choice demon?
Yeah.
Choice spirit. That's what he would always like correct you to. No, I flat out
Yeah.
killed his ass. I made the mistake.
He was in the book about the Empress Celine.
Yeah,
So-
Right.
that's what I heard. Is that was
Mm.
also another reference from the Masked Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the book, and you meet Michel de Chavannes, the person who was bodyguard to Empress Celine, who turned out to have a elf mother, and he had
Yeah.
lied about his whole lineage. So
Yeah.
That
He's
was
kind of
cool
a dick,
having
right?
yeah, it was cool having him. I had him join the Inquisition after I did that. I
Oh,
thought
hell yeah. I'll take
I thought
any
that's
agent I
really
can
cool
get.
because of
Yeah.
the book and all.
Yeah.
As far as what we'll see in the future, I definitely think the calling, especially how much they kind of pushed the Grey Wardens, especially in the final slides, the epilogue slides, they mention, at least as far as you kept the Grey Wardens, that the Grey Wardens finally came out into the open. They became more of a force of good, even outside of fighting blights, which caused kind of almost like a civil war with the people who lead it, wise up. But not only that, but from there, a lot of people lost contact with the Grey Wardens. It was, it was thought either because of the Civil War or because, as they always have to put it, something far more sinister. And
Which
also,
is clearly what's going on.
exactly.
Clearly.
And also,
Obviously.
with a lot of things that are going on, even with like Alistair, Logain, Stroud, and them talking about the calling and a lot of the crazy stuff that's going on, and how a lot of that is handled, and even with your if the hero Ferelden lived on, and they went to fight the calling, there's basically the calling was thrown in your face repeatedly throughout this. So I do not think it may be the main plot, but I do think
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
think
be
you're right. I think-
a larger factor going forward.
Oh, for sure. I think for sure. I think my prediction is the next game will have the
Big god battles.
hero Ferelden. Well, the hero of Ferelden be like Hawk was in this one. Like come in and you can like customize him. Like,
Yeah.
hey, here's my hero.
Or be
if
the-
they
or-
lived.
Yeah, or somebody similar, like maybe the Warden Commander. But a lot of people are like, well, it can't be the Warden Commander because Stroud was the default Warden Commander.
Yeah.
Either way, I do think we're going to be
My
looking...
warden was the Warden Commander. What?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I definitely think you're going to have to deal with the calling, or the Grey Wardens are going to have a deeper impact again going forward, along with the most obvious thing being something involving Solus and the Elven gods. There's going to be some kind of god battle going on.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the fourth game, definitely in the fifth game. They're supposed to
Something.
conclude the series.
Something's got to go with that. Like that's something that's got to happen.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
Now that
like,
we know-
it's still interesting to see what they will bring for, like, sort of DLC and that sort of stuff for.
I don't want the
Dragon Age
calling to be DLC unless it's
No, I don't
fleshed
think,
out Awakening style
No,
DLC.
I don't
Yeah,
think they will.
yeah. Hell,
I
I don't
think
want
they-
the stuff with Solus to
I
be.
think they can have more, like, can maybe have some sort of DLC to do with the calling, but they probably won't have, like, the hero of Ferelden. That they won't do. That's too much. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe something would do with the Elven gods.
I really hope they do DLC for Solus, like the witch hunt, because like my greatest fear at this point.
Everybody
is, like,
wants the Solus witch
I know
hunt.
that. I know. The wolf hunt is what they call it. I'm well
The
aware.
wolf hunt. That's
Yeah,
exactly
but
what it's called.
what I'm hoping is that he isn't like the big bad in like the next game.
I don't think he would. He didn't strike me as a bad guy. Even
Right.
killing, he seems very Machiavellian. I would probably refer to him in that regard, to where the ends justify the means.
So therefore he can actually be the bad guy. I can definitely see him being the bad.
but the problem is I just couldn't see anything he needed to do be that serious that would force him into the role of the bad guy.
It's
You
true.
mean
I
like
think
giving Corypheus his orb? You mean that? Because yeah, he did that.
That was a mistake. That's different.
Uh-huh.
And that's
He can
why
make more.
that's why he wasn't the big bad though. That's why Corypheus was.
I understand, and I'm hoping that again. I hope they don't pull that, but they could.
They
That's
could.
what I'm saying.
They totally could.
Fully could. But I'm hoping that they won't.
All right,
because
so
that would break my little heart.
any other thoughts before we go into the final thoughts?
no.
No, I think we're ready.
All right, so I think we've already kind of said who our favorite characters were, but just I guess to clear up, favorite characters, favorite scene, and your thoughts on Dragon Age Inquisition in closing.
Gosh.
My favorite scene was when they were playing together and Colin got his clothes played off him, sort of.
Wicked Grace game.
Yeah.
You romance and you can talk about it later, and you can be like, "Hey, that was great.
Okay.
Let's play again." It's fucking hilarious.
The Wicked Grace game was definitely classic.
That was good.
So that was what was like your favorite character though?
My favorite character.
If you had to pick one, I know it's probably gonna be difficult.
I feel bad that I couldn't have him in my party, and that's Cole, because he
Because
was
he kept
kind of
dying
like,
on you.
Yeah, and he kind of was my favorite character because he's evolved so much and it's come so far from like especially the books. And I don't know. I probably would have to say Cole or Cassandra. Those two.
Yeah, Cole's banter is epic.
Yeah. Kat?
My favorite character, like, oh, that's hard.
You have to pick one.
Like a companion.
Companion, the advisors are not included.
Like
Sorry.
just like they're as a person, like who they are and everything.
Yeah. We're not going to include.
Sorry, that should be obvious. I should think it's obvious. As far as like a player that I wish I could have spent more time with, Cerberus. Hey, but my favorite scene, gosh, that's hard. That's really. I loved the Dorian story. We think we talked about that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that was really good, and just kind of like, but you know, any of that stuff. But if I don't know, that's hard. And I love the cool stuff too. Oh, you know what I really liked, and this is silly. This isn't really a scene, but you can tell me what you think. Is when you listen to everybody complain about weird shit happening, and then later you talk to Cole, and like you can kind of figure out why he did all that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
I just liked that. I thought that was
Yeah.
really sweet. Because his explanation at first doesn't make any sense, but then you hear
The
later, like,
daggers is
if you don't tell him to stop,
Yeah,
right?
like,
And like turnips and stuff, you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
you're like,
And I
well,
just
that
let it
makes
go.
sense.
So I'm like, you know what? He'll figure it out. And I was really pleased with the payoff on that. 'cause
Oh
I thought
yeah.
that was really
Let's see. For me, I guess I could be labeled a Varric fanboy, because that's who I would say.
You totally are.
Yeah.
I really liked his. Even though, like I said, he wasn't as much Varric. He was and he wasn't in this one. Like there's certain parts where he was really good, even better than 2, and then there's other parts where he's like, not so much. It's not the Varric I know. But again, the Wicked Grace scene, like you mentioned, was a great scene. Just the stuff that you had him involved in, and just that heartbreaking situation where you finally meet Bianca, the real Bianca.
That's hard. Yeah.
And you can tell he really cares for her, and she chose family and status over love.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and what you gonna do, you know?
And yeah, exactly. And so he still carries this this torch for her, and it's just never gonna happen. And I would have said Dorian. Dorian was definitely like really high up there, just for everything that happened. Just he was so sure of who he was. He was so comfortable with who he was. He was a badass, and he knew it. And he was like cocky, but not to the point.
He's fun to talk to, yeah.
Yeah, he was cocky, but he was like it was the pleasing kind of cocky. Like it was enjoyable and it was entertaining. It wasn't like douchey.
Yeah.
And he's like almost there. But I would still say Varric, and probably one of my favorite scenes is still like Rasmus said, the Wicked Grace scene was definitely hilarious, especially me being the cause of Colin losing his clothes and having him run off.
I was thrilled as punch with that. I'll tell you what. I was like, oh, this could go better.
I was like, you don't bet with me, kid. I only bet when I know I'm gonna win.
He bet with my game. I don't know if it's different, but in my game he bet with Josephine. Josephine made him lose his clothes, not me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the funny thing. I played in the hand, and I was the one that won it all.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But Josephine was the one who challenged him for me too. Josephine is the one
I
that
let
issued.
her do it.
Yeah, Josephine issued the challenge, but I was involved in the hand, and I ended up winning the hand because
So you
I
won Kellen's clothes.
I also romanced Josephine. So the funny thing is, she'll even say, she's like, "Oh, you won it all, my love." So I won like all the money and Colin's clothes, and made him take the run of shame.
Yes, the Cullen's. I didn't know if Cullen was gonna have a sex scene or not, but it was very for any ladies out there who are interested or dudes who want to see it. Hey, that's cool. It's worth it. Very
Yeah.
good. Especially because Solus doesn't have one, but it's implied that you're boning, so I'm cool with that. But yeah, the Cullen.
Well, you never actually have sex or even implied sex with Josephine. Like I said, it was very cheesy, romantic, and I liked it. But
Sure, you don't all have to have a sex scene.
no, not at all. I mean, you can still have it be great without one.
Cullen one. You did it. That's no question.
But the one scene I liked too, was, like I said, it was filled with kind of that badassery, even though the fight itself wasn't. But the final conflict with Corypheus, because even though my character was always like, I'm unsure, when he's like, we'll see who the better god is. That was the one time, just to be a dick, my character went, I'm the Maker's chosen, and then kind of just did the stare down. And then, of course, breaking Corypheus' jaw. Because even though I'm not a violent person, it was still just so satisfying just to see him just finally
Fuck that
knocked
guy.
down and just beaten. And I also appreciate the fact that, like, I'm all for morally gray characters, but sometimes it just feels good to have a character that you just know is bad and to be able to stop them.
Indeed.
But I guess we'll go on the overall thoughts. Inquisition, again, overall, as I said, with character, story, and a lot of things, is probably my favorite of the three to date, if only just a little bit above Dragon Age Origins. The gameplay, I felt, was a nice mesh of all three games, or I'm sorry, the previous two games, because they kind of took what was great about one, took out what was bad, and same thing with two, and to make it like a nice cohesive experience, especially with the inclusion of a full but separate multiplayer.
Yep, I pretty much agree with that. It was, exceeded my expectations. I mean, they took an extra year and it showed,
Yeah, it just
I was
shows.
really glad they did that because I'm like, yeah, I almost wish they'd taken one more, just to see. But no, it's epic and well done. So I was very happy.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Give it to us, Rasmus. Give it to us.
So,
Yeah, so it didn't meet my expectations. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was too much open world MMO stylish, and and also the pacing was a little bit off as well. I felt like because you like all the was power
There's some
you were
weirdness there.
using. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's some weirdness there.
one of the biggest also that you couldn't have like a raven or something like that and do the simple war room stuff because going back and forth was freaking annoying. And the potion limit only made it more
Yeah, that was rough.
irritating.
You had to get used to that shit. That's why I always get the one where you get the extra potions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that as well, but it just like
I'm gonna have to do that for my insanity run. I know it.
it just took
Yeah.
it just took longer for me because especially if I sometimes felt like putting Iron Bull or coal or whatever and they're just using up potions like there's no tomorrow.
They're
and
drinking it like water. And then wasting glass. You got people that are probably going to be walking around barefoot like Solus is going to step in it.
yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. So
We know how to
I'm
drink
like,
a potion. God, it never stops.
It just becomes a
Yes.
vicious cycle. It's like
Yeah,
drink,
yeah,
smash,
it's
step.
tricky.
Drink, smash,
Another
step.
one. Stop retreading your steps. No, definitely it's not perfect, but I felt like they definitely took it in a step in the right direction, like with all that stuff. So I'm very excited about future games, especially DLC where we, hunt that wolf.
Which we are going to be getting DLC, and I'm going to be very interested in seeing what they're going
Ah!
to choose to do.
We'll have to discuss it.
Because we already got free DLC for the multiplayer, as they said they would, and they've been true to their word. but we still
Yeah.
probably I'm thinking we'll probably have at least 2, maybe 3 story-based DLC. So it's gonna be interesting to see where we can go
Expecting
for
at
that.
least one like big one, like Awakenings. That's fine.
Yeah, it would
But
be
I'm
nice to have
excited.
another big one.
Yeah, all over it.
Oh, that doesn't sound right, but you know what we mean.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Anything else?
No.
I think.
Sorry, I'd have no face.
Yeah, we're really sorry. We've had a lot of technical issues. I'm hoping maybe going forward, because I'd like us to have other streams similar to this that I can get them resolved. Because I guess it's really on my end, considering I'm hosting everything and
Yeah.
even doing the OBS.
Yeah. Damn, Anthony.
Yeah.
you
Except
let
for
us
your
all down.
camera, I'm not responsible for your camera.
I don't know what's going on. It
But-
was for a while.
We also went on for another 2 hours longer than expected, so I apologize, Kat, and I apologize, Rasmus, for keeping you guys this long. And anybody who's here is like, oh my god, I can't believe they're still talking, either with us live or watching on YouTube. So appreciate your patronage and watching this and hearing what we had to say.
And we could have gone a lot longer.
We could have. We really could have. But I appreciate you all watching, and have a nice night. Until next time.